Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria 3, where we are currently, finally, at long last, working our way towards having some form of democracy. Now, it's not a good form of democracy, but it's some form. So that is absolutely a thing. Actually, yeah, we'll have the segregation erode. I'm definitely okay with getting more loyalists. We've built up some radicalism. That's absolutely a bit of an issue, and we will work on that. So that is absolutely understood. It's currently 1900. We're working on enacting landed voting, and this is going to change our government legitimacy until such a time as we have an election. But with landed voting, we know who's going to win the election. It's the landowners. And who's currently in government? It's the landowners. So there's not going to be a significant change in that regard. But we should be able to get some other things going once we get some additional political movements happening here. So we're going to want to get rid of this liberal movement eventually. But I think it'll be useful for us to get landed voting started, and then go to something like census suffrage would be the idea. Now, we have a decent amount of gold reserves, and we should probably resume construction. So let's do that for right now. We're working on these coal mines at the moment, and I feel like this is a little too much on the coal mines, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to about page 3 here, and I'm just going to move a bunch of these coal mines down so that we work on coal mines at first, and not that iron mine. Let me move that back on up. We work on a bunch of coal mines at first, then we work on other stuff for a while, then we work on a bunch of coal mines. That's the idea here. Now, we're not going to get all the way through this right now, obviously. That's not going to be a thing. Vulnerable front in South Cameroon. I do not care. That's not an us problem. That's a Britain problem. So our GDP is currently dwindling, and that's probably because of, yeah, the French blockading. That's understood. I'm not concerned about that right now. That's just a market access issue. It's okay. What is the British doing here this time? So, Southern Turkestan uprising is against Kabul. This is irrelevant to us, really. Okay, so that war is over. That's good. We're very happy about that. That will restore our market access. We do still have some standard of living issues. That's absolutely understood. It's deeply unsurprising right now. But landed voting has no chance of stall. No one opposes landed voting, and no one ever has. It's just no one wanted to initiate it. So we're not going to have any problem passing this. This is going to sail through. We have no real risk here unless we hit really, really bad debate luck. So for now, we'll see what happens there. But I don't expect that to be a serious issue. So we do see this opium plantation being built over here. That's fine. We're still working on resource extraction, and we'll get there. Working on privatization, that's great. I really like to see that. There's a transportation shortage in Persian Hormuz. Okay, I want to take a look at this. What do we got going on here? That needs to be subsidized. Okay, so that's fine. We will subsidize that for the time being. That should solve that problem. So we should see this beginning to get employees at this point and starting to produce some amount anyway of transportation. Now, engines are expensive. Coal is expensive. We're working on producing a lot of extra coal. So that'll be a very useful thing for us, for sure. This iron mine will get finished up eventually, and then we're going to put all of this into Kandahar coal production. But that's ultimately going to be going into Mazandaran, where we don't actually have any construction shortfalls. So that'll be absolutely fine. Now, we're spending our money fast, and that's absolutely understood. We don't really want to go into debt. We know that we have significant amounts of interest, so we're going to want to pause our construction eventually, but we're just going to want to build these piecemeal, right? For the time being, landed voting, and then maybe we can get off of traditionalism, but we might have to go for census suffrage first. But I think we finally cracked the shell on our politics, and that's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. I'm delighted about this. So what do we got going on over here? Yeah, this is irrelevant to us. Britain's got that under control. They forced us to join, but we don't care. We're not going to participate. So that's absolutely wonderful. Landed voting is going to have some sort of a role here. Let's see what that ends up being. This feels like this is very slow, and I'm guessing this is probably, yeah, 50% from unacceptable government. That'll do it. That's fine. Absolutely understood. Okay, so popular outreach giving us a debate tick here. This is not surprising. Enactment success chance and rural folk in approval will actually take that. That's wonderful. So that seems great. We're going to get another roll on this in 220 days. We need to get some form of elections going. That's what really needs to happen right now. Our main issue at this moment is our government legitimacy. And the landowners are still recovering, but they'll only go up another 22%. So that's understood. Okay, so we currently have quite a lot of gold reserves, actually. That privatization was very solid, so that'll keep us constructing for a good amount of time. Our GDP is not doing so hot right now. I'm wondering why. I don't see anything major here right now. It might just be a global sort of downturn. That's okay. We are at number 11 on GDP, so we've definitely cruised upwards. So that's wonderful. I want to check in here and see 1.07 million peasants and 22.8k unemployed. Gotcha. So I want to check in on institutions. This is still being worked on and will be for a while. We have no reason to bring up our colonial affairs. That doesn't need to happen. Man, this takes so long to get these rolls. Okay, that's understood. So at this point, our gold reserves are going to go away in about 3 weeks here, about 2 weeks now. So we're going to need to pause our construction fairly soon, but we did manage to get some additional construction going there. That's great. So on this next week tick, we should pause our construction. That'll get us this coal mine in Mazandaran done. Beautiful. Okay, consider it paused. So now we have 19.5k in gold reserves. Construction is paused. And we are in surplus. I like it. We do have 132 in interest. Oh, this did take for that 1 week. Oh, I see. Okay. Vulcanization has been unlocked. That gives us 2 additional production methods. And let's just immediately think about switching to elastics here. This is going to be rubber, which is potentially problematic for us. I'm going to do it, but we'll see if that becomes a problem. Rubber might become a shortfall for us. We'll see what we've got going on here. Opium plantations should all be on rail transportation, 100%. And railways, we could take this up to steel passenger carriages, which arguably we should do. We can also go to steam trains. So this is going to potentially cause us some problems. I'm going to do that, and we'll see how the problems pan out. So we have some transportation shortages. This is expected as good substitution occurs. We'll keep an eye on this. So we've got these guys over here, right? This needs to be subsidized. And then we've got this in Tabriz. What do we got going on here? This is actually just hiring in. So this should be okay. Yeah, we're still working on this. This does not need to be subsidized. So that looks good. No issue there in theory. So we still have some standard of living issues, that's expected. How are we doing on literacy? It's improving. And our transportation shortage here, it's improving. Okay, this should no longer actually be a transportation shortage. Yeah, it's not. So that looks good. And then this railway here, this is now maxed. Huh. That's interesting. I did not expect this railway to be maxed out. That means we're going to have to expand this railway. I expected when we went to steam trains and steel passenger carriages that we would be producing sufficient here once we fully max this out, but no. That's remarkable. This is probably because of the opium plantations that were here. Almost certainly. Trade unions. Okay, so that looks good. We're going to want to get this railway constructing soon enough. That would take 800 construction, 27 weeks of construction. That would definitely put us negative. Okay. I'm just thinking about how we might want to handle that. So we're at 152k gold reserves right now. That's enough for like 3 weeks, right? So it's going to take quite a lot to get that constructed. We would go into debt doing that at this moment. We're probably better off saving the money right now. But once we're on landed voting, that'll be fine. Can we see what our current interest rate is? It must be in here somewhere, right? What's our current interest rate? And yeah, we have this bankruptcy here. That's going to cause us some problems as well. So plus 27% from declared bankruptcy. Noted. But a lot of this is also that we're unrecognized. So that's understood. We got an advance here. So 7% enactment success chance, or we can get a 5% and some intelligentsia interest group approval, which we're going to take. It's only 2% hit on the success rate. So we're building up our success chance on landed voting. We never thought that we were going to have a failure on that, right? What is this, a rebellion? Yeah, this is a rebellion. I don't care about that. So we're still number 11 in GDP in the world. That looks great. And we still have that transportation shortage in Tabriz. So we're definitely going to need to do something about that. We can construct for about 5 weeks at this point before we go into debt. The question is that okay? Right? Well, we're working on the open hearth process right now, which will boost up our steel production, which is, you know, useful, I suppose. Oil discovered in the West Indies, sure. Beyond that, we're going to need to start going down to this tier down here, so like pneumatic tools? That's going to be a potential problem for us. Mechanized farming is probably the better way to go, and nitrogen fixation, so these down over here. Let's go ahead and queue up nitrogen fixation, then mechanized farming. That'll be fine. We'll have that open hearth process very soon. What are we working on here? Explosives factories in Isfahan? Okay. Actually want to check in on the society tree and see what's being exposed. Nationalism? Okay. What about in the military tree? Ironclad. Don't care about either of those, to be honest. So that's all perfectly fine for right now. There's our law enforcement investment going up and education investment going up. Both of those are going to be very useful for us. I do want to check in on government administrations. We do have need of a couple of government administrations here. Okay, so that's fine. This railway is going to go up to the top like this. Beautiful. So we're now at 343k in gold reserves. And there's the open hearth process. So that'll give us a new production method for our steel mills that we may or may not have. Do we even have a steel mill? We do. We have a few. Okay, so that seems fine. Do it. So good substitution will happen there. I'm going to unpause our construction, and we're going to start building this railway and these government administrations. So this is going to be quite expensive. I at least want to get some progress on this. So we're going to get these 2 government administrations done. That will help our unrealized taxes a little bit, but it's not going to be huge. And then we're going to start working on these coal mines in the background. But our primary goal is to finish up this railway in Tabriz. This is going to take time, right? No doubt about that. 23 weeks on this right now, and if we check in on this, we're going to run out of gold relatively quick. Great Britain is doing this nonsense again. Whatever. They can do that if they like. Okay, so that all seems relatively fine, but we are going to run out of funds in a few weeks here. And the question is, do we want to go into debt? And I think the answer to that is yes. I want to see at least what our interest rate is. We know it's minus 27% for declared bankruptcy, right? We've got about half of this left. So 25% loan interest rate at this point. So if it's 25%, we probably don't want to be in debt. but I just want to go one tick into debt and we'll check what the current interest rate is. We saw that at one point. So the Trucial States want us to support their independence. No, we're in no position for that. So we're going to say no to that. This next tick here, we're going to need to pause. So we're going to pause construction now. Okay. So at this point, we can see we've got 21 or 29.1K in debt, and we can see 178 in interest here. Where did we see that interest rate at previously? We definitely saw that somewhere. Was that in this here? No. Where is our interest rate, though? Ah, here it is. 31.8%. Yikes. Yeah, we don't want to be in debt. Not at a 31.8 interest rate. Hard pass on that one. Okay, so, yep, we're definitely going to work our way out of debt. We are not going to remain in debt here. 38% interest rate is insane. So that ain't happening. We're going to need to wait until our bankruptcy is over for sure. So let's see what happens with landed voting here on this tick. Our legitimacy is still rough. There's no doubt about that. How's that coming anyway? 34? Any way to get that higher? No. We just need to pass landed voting, is all there is to it. Okay, so that seems absolutely fine for now. Liberal movement is up to 26% at this point. And they're not actually helping landed voting, which is interesting. I was under the impression they at least endorsed this. They endorse it, but they don't strongly endorse it. Okay. Noted. So that's absolutely fine for right now. How are we doing on our tech at this point? 130.5 uncapped. Okay, no issue there. So that seems wonderful. We are, of course, out of debt at this point and building up our gold reserves. So this law passed into consideration. That's wonderful. We're very pleased about that one. And how far did we get on that railway into Breeze? Almost halfway, 45%. Okay, we did get those government administrations finished, and we also boosted up our... We boosted up our institution of law enforcement. So that is going to be absolutely fantastic for us in terms of reducing state penalties from turmoil, right? Oh, Great Britain is protective towards us now. Good. Very pleased about that. So that seems absolutely wonderful. Unfortunately for us, while we've increased our GDP tenfold, we have not managed to really take advantage of any of that financially, right? We're not getting any of that right now. The Pashtun political movement, I don't care about them, to be honest. Okay, that'll be fine. So obviously, we don't care about this Philippine war, right? That's completely irrelevant. That's a Britain thing. What do we care about that? What we care about right now is building up our gold reserves a little bit more here. How are we doing on this anyway? We're currently making an explosives factory, and we're working on expanding tea plantations. Okay, whatever. We need landed voting to get passed here, and it will. It's just a matter of time at this point. There's Ironclad from Exposure. Not that we care. Ironclad is fairly irrelevant to us. Minus 16.4 in Tabriz. This was plus 10. Due to turmoil. Interesting. Turmoil here just started up, I guess. Transportation is still expensive there, and it's still considered a shortage. Okay. So what are they so upset about? I mean, there's 3% starving population there. It's mostly just the standard of living dropping a little bit. Okay. Well, that's fine for now. I mean, it's not necessarily fine, but we'll get there. So we currently have 345K. Let's go ahead and start up a little bit of construction here. So 356K. Noted. Okay, so we're going to finish up this coal mine fairly soon. This railway is 16 weeks away. I don't think we're going to get it done on this construction cycle, but we would be delighted to get some of these coal mines finished. So we're going to get those done, and then we've got a bunch of these other things, right? And then a bunch more coal mines is the idea. So we're going to need to get to the point where we can get all of that finished. But the first step there is still landed voting. We need some form of democracy to boost our legitimacy up so that we can start passing other laws more quickly. That's the idea here. So the coal mines of Mazandaran are 3 weeks away. That looks fine. Eventually they'll get finished. And how are we doing financially? We've got a little bit of money left, so we can continue to build for about 3 more weeks. 4? Maybe 4. Yeah, something like that. So that looks good. Yeah, these guys are all piecing out. That's fine. Oman wants to grant us foreign investment rights. Okay, so railway in Tabriz is going to be done in 8 weeks at this point. We've got about 2 weeks of construction left, so let's take this week and then pause it. Okay, about like that. So 1 more week of construction here. Actually, this is going to take this week, isn't it? Huh. It did. So we paid for the construction a week late, is how that seems like that works. Because we got essentially a free week of construction when I unpaused it, but then we got that got paid for at the end. So yeah, we pay for the construction a week after it occurs, it appears. That's okay. So there's not really a way to game that. When I first saw that, I was like, can we game that? And then I'm like, no. Not that I probably would anyway, but it's definitely something to think about as a potential thing that we might be able to do. But I would definitely choose not to under most circumstances. So let's see what happens with landed voting here. 32%. Let's see what happens. We still have the highest chance of advance, actually. Okay, debate. So that was pretty even, and we can grab a 10% chance. Now our highest chance is success. So that's wonderful. We're very pleased about that, of course. Privatizing iron mines? That's great. Really, really good. Although that actually was in the Ottoman Empire, I believe. So they privatized iron mines in the Ottoman Empire. Interesting. That money doesn't go to us, of course. We didn't own those. So that's absolutely noted. We're going to require a few more weeks to get this railway in Tabriz completed, which we do need to do. And yeah, we have a low training rate. No shockers there. Oman wants us to support their independence. We'll pass on that for now. Okay, so our GDP is very much hovering around this 30 million mark. It's going up and down, as you'd expect. But once again, privatizing logging camps in Ankara. That is money that is not going to be going to us. Not ideal, but whatever. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so that is over. Wonderful. We can resume construction here fairly soon, but I'm just watching our income dwindle a little bit. I think this is dwindling with the GDP. That's probably because of the war that was ongoing, right? Is this going to start recovering? I would assume that this is going to start recovering. Our GDP has dipped significantly at this point, but this is probably due to shipping issues. Yeah, we're definitely recovering now. So that looks good. I'm going to resume construction here. There we go. Oil discovered in Saskatchewan. Sure. Not that we care about that. Okay, so we're currently at about 52K for our investment pool. And our gold reserves are about 250K. We can run this for about 5 weeks, and that's how long it's going to take to get this railway built. So let's get the railway finished, and in the meantime, we'll continue to work on these coal mines. Those will finish eventually, and we definitely see our GDP is recovering at this point. So that looks good. We'll do a little government spending here to stimulate the economy. More specifically, we want to get this railway going. Ooh, a transportation shortage in northern Baluchistan. Okay, so what do we got going on here? This needs to be subsidized, is the answer. Okay, so that is now completed. Excellent. So the transportation shortage into Breeze is now dealt with. We got a privatization, it looks like, or something. Our gold reserves went up significantly. So we can keep constructing for a little bit here, get through some of these coal mines in Mazandaran. That would be fantastic. I'd love to do that. This iron mine is probably not actually constructible, so let's get rid of that. Any others in here that are probably not constructible? No. Okay. So we've got about 10 years of construction left in the queue here. And we want to just continue to build this up maximally. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to continue to work on landed voting. That should get passed in the next episode. I think the odds are incredibly low at this point that it doesn't get passed. So that would be great. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Andy McGard, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.